Okay, now let's go on to worksheet 3.5. So we're going to go on to the last worksheet for separation technique. So first question, what is chromatography? So it's actually used to separate two or more components that dissolve in the same solvent. So typically it's used to separate mixtures. So example, very common one that we use chromatography is for dyes. Okay, so example, dyes actually contains multiple pigments in the liquid that is dissolving in. So you can actually find out what pigments are present in the liquid. So based on the chromatogram, so like the part B, determine number of components present. So for P over here, you can see there's only one dot over here. Okay, ignore this dot. This dot is actually the sample that you have placed here. The liquid will actually flow up and hence it separates into the various components. So you only see one dot here, so it represents one component. This one here, you can see there are two dots over here. Okay, so I should circle the two dots. So this one dot, this two dots over here, so that's why you see two components. This one you actually see three components here. These two are actually two different components and one here, so three components for R. So which one is considered pure? P only has one component, so therefore it is a pure substance. So Q and R consists of two or more components, more than one component, that's why they are considered mixtures, so they are impure. Okay, impure. Now, next one. Now, sometimes the substance of the component is colorless. What can we do? Because after you have done your chromatography, you can't see anything. So there's this thing actually called a locating agent. So you can actually spray the locating agent. This will actually cause the colorless substance to show up as colored spots. So the key term here I need you to know is actually this idea called a locating agent. So that's the keyword. Okay, next one, question 2. The diagram shows a chromatogram of substance X and 4 different dyes, P, Q, R, S. So identify the dyes which substance X contain. So X got 3 different components, so we just draw a dot like this. So can you see the dot all the way at the top coincides with the dot for S. So I know X will contain, so this is wrong, this will be S. So it contains S. Second dot over here, it corresponds with Q, so therefore it has Q. And last one, P. So it's P, Q, and S. Okay. Question 3. Exploring chromatography. So this one really looks at the idea of what chromatography is and some of the ideas about it. So provide reasons for each of them. Now this is what I call the starting line, where you put the sample dot here. So normally it's drawn in pencil or drawn by a pencil rather than ink. So typically we will use pencil rather than ink because ink contains a mixture of dyes. So you draw the starting line with ink, it's going to separate and interfere with the chromatogram. Therefore, we will not use ink, okay, or use pen. We'll use pencil instead. Next one, the starting line is drawn above the solvent level. So you can see this is the solvent level. This is the solvent level. Okay. The line is drawn above the solvent level. Why? This is to prevent the spot or mixture from diffusing into the main solvent. So when it's above, okay, the spot will not diffuse into the solvent over here. Instead, it will flow upwards as the solvent is absorbed. But if it's inside the solvent, it will just dissolve into the solvent. Next, the spot of the mixture on the starting line is small. This to avoid smudging. Okay, so if there's smudging, which means that there'll be other spots present, this will cause okay, so this will avoid smudging. So if there are other spots, this will prevent overlapping of the neighboring spots. So what means that if there are other spots here, if you don't make it very big, if you make it very big, it will spread and it will cause the result to be affected. So therefore, we typically make it very small, just a little dot, so that it will not affect the neighboring spots. Next one, the container holding the chromatogram is covered with a lid. So this will prevent the solvent from evaporating, okay, from the paper and slow down the separation process. Okay, so the lid is over here. Okay, this is really just to ensure that the solvent doesn't evaporate. Okay, imagine there's a lack of solvent, your experiment cannot be completed. Last one, okay, if a longer sheet is used for chromatogram, will help in the process. Yes, because the longer the distance, the more the solvent travels, the better the separation. So if I could have a longer paper, because my beaker is bigger, I'm actually able to let the solvent run further up, which allows longer distance for the spots to separate. So that's actually better. Okay, so these are some of the things that you need to take note, some extra details about the chromatography.